welcome to today's On This Day in Tudor History with me, Claire Ridgway. I'm the author of several books on Tudor history, and I also run the Tudor Society and Anne Boleyn Files websites. Now, today we're going back to the reign of King Henry VIII, and yes, not a good day in the reign of King Henry VIII, for on this day in Tudor history, the 16th of July 1546, so in the very last few months of the reign of King Henry VIII, Protestant martyrs Anne Askew, John Lascelles, John Adams and Nicholas Belenian were burned at the stake at Smithfield in London for heresy. Now, if you listen to my talk from the 18th of June, you will know that 25-year-old Anne had been found guilty of heresy for her views on the sacrament of the altar, and that she'd been condemned to death. Now, Anne had refused to recant her faith, and she'd been tortured. She'd been racked illegally. It was illegal for a woman to be racked, and she'd been racked illegally at the Tower of London by Sir Richard Rich and Sir Thomas Wriothesley, in the hope that under torture she would give them the names of other people who were of the Reformed faith at court, people that were closely related, closely linked to Queen Catherine Parr. Anne was so badly racked, the description of her is till her bones and joints were almost plucked asunder, that on the day of her execution she had to be carried out to the stake in a chair, and then she was tied by the middle with a chain that held up her body. So she could not support her own body weight. She could not stand to be fixed to the stake. The famous martyrologist John Fox recorded the burning of Anne Askew and the men. The bells are ringing out for Anne Askew and these men. He recorded the burning of Anne Askew and the men in his book Acts and Monuments, which is also known as Fox's Book of Martyrs. And here is what he says of Anne's death. Wherefore the day of her execution was appointed, and she brought into Smithfield in a chair, because she could not go on her feet by means of her great torments. When she was brought unto the stake, she was tied by the middle with a chain that held up her body. When all things were thus prepared to the fire, Dr. Shaxton, who was then appointed to preach, began his sermon. Anne Askew, hearing and answering again unto him, where he said well, confirmed the same. Where he said amiss, there, said she, he misseth and speaketh without the book. The sermon being finished, the martyrs standing there tied at 3 several stakes ready to their martyrdom, began their prayers. The multitude and concourse of people was exceeding the place where they stood, being railed about to keep out the press. Upon the bench under St. Bartholomew's Church sat Wriothesley, Chancellor of England, the old Duke of Norfolk, the old Earl of Bedford, the Lord Mayor, with divers others. Before the fire should be set unto them, one of the bench, hearing that they had gunpowder about them, and being alarmed lest the faggots, by strength of the gunpowder, would come flying about their ears, began to be afraid. But the Earl of Bedford, declaring unto him how the gunpowder was not laid under the faggots, but only about their bodies, to rid them out of their pain, which having vent, there was no danger to them of the faggots, so diminished that fear. Then Wriothesley, Lord Chancellor, sent to Anne Askew letters offering to her the king's pardon if she would recant, who, refusing once to look upon them, made this answer again, that she came not thither to deny her lord and master. Then were the letters likewise offered unto the others, who in like manner, following the constancy of the woman, denied not only to receive them, but also to look upon them. Whereupon the Lord Mayor, commanding fire to be put unto them, cried with a loud voice, Fiat Justitia, Justitia. And thus the good Anne Askew, with these blessed martyrs, being troubled so many manner of ways, and having passed through so many torments, having now ended the long course of her agonies, being compassed in with flames of fire, as a blessed sacrifice unto God, she slept in the Lord, AD 1546, leaving behind her a singular example of Christian constancy for all men to follow. That is an amazing record, and I just love those last words. They actually make me feel quite choked up. That this woman and those men had so much courage. There they were, at the stake, about to go through all of that pain and torment, and were offered a pardon if they recanted, but they stuck to their faith and their beliefs. You have to be awestruck by that. You have to admire them. Now, a little bit of trivia here. John Lascelles, who was burned at the stake with Anne that day, there's a very buzzy fly buzzing around me, was the man who told Archbishop Cranmer of Catherine Howard's colourful past in autumn 1541. His sister Mary had been brought up with Catherine in the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk's household, and so knew about Catherine's relationships with Henry Manox and Francis Derham, and passed on this information to John Lascelles, who then believed that this should be passed on to the king, and so went to the King's Council and told them about this. Another piece of trivia is that you will have heard in John Fox's account there that there was a Dr. Shaxton who preached at these burnings on this day in 1546. That was Nicholas Shaxton, former Bishop of Salisbury, who, if you remember my previous talk about Anne being found guilty of heresy, Nicholas Shaxton, had been found guilty of heresy with Anne in June 1546, but he saved himself by recanting. And I wonder how he felt preaching at the burnings of these people that he'd been found guilty with, and now these people had stood firm to their religious views, had had the courage to stand firm, and were now being killed because of that. I wonder how he felt preaching at their burnings. Sorry to leave you on such a gloomy note, but I do hope you're enjoying these travels into the past with me. I'll be back tomorrow with some more Tudor history for you, but for now you can subscribe to the channel by clicking round about there, and do have a browse. There are so many videos on this channel, including my questions about Anne Boleyn series as well. You can hit the bell to be notified as new videos go live as well, and please do give this video a like, it really does help. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye bye.